The sky above Earth changed on a quiet morning. The clouds were torn apart by light, an endless burning white light that swallowed the blue. People across every continent looked up. They saw what no human had ever seen before, a fleet so massive that it turned day into night. Ships, hundreds of them shaped like dark blades, covered the horizon. The Galactic Empire had arrived. At first there was silence. No one spoke. Cities froze. Air traffic stopped. Then a deep metallic voice filled every device, every screen, every frequency on Earth. It spoke in perfect English, calm and powerful, as if it had been waiting for this moment. This is the dominion of the Empire. Your species has reached the limits of allowed progress. From this moment on, humanity belongs to us. Kneel and you will be spared. Those words echoed across the planet. In homes, schools, control rooms, and bunkers, people listened. Some cried. Some prayed. Some screamed. The message repeated 3 times. Then the transmission ended. In the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, far below the waves, a hidden base came to life. It had no name, no flags, no symbols, only numbers. Inside, hundreds of soldiers and scientists moved in silence, illuminated by red emergency lights. They had waited for this day. At the command bridge, Captain Elias Ward stood before a holographic screen showing the alien fleet above Earth. His face was calm, but his eyes were cold. Around him, officers whispered about surrender, about negotiation. Ward said nothing for a long time. Finally, he spoke. "Play their message again." The room filled with the Empire's voice once more. Those words of dominance, that command to kneel. Ward listened carefully, then turned to his crew. "Do you hear it?" he said softly. One officer asked, "Hear what, sir?" "The way they speak to us," Ward replied. "As if we are already defeated." He stepped closer to the hologram of the alien ships. They were enormous, each one the size of a city, glowing with cold blue light. The image made the room feel smaller. "Send a message back," Ward said. "Sir, let them hear us." The communications officer hesitated, then nodded and opened a channel. A small light blinked green. The captain's voice went across space, steady and sharp. "This is Captain Elias Ward of the United Nations ship Valiant. To the Empire above Earth, we do not kneel." The silence that followed was heavy. Then the alien flagship moved. Its weapons lit up like suns. Beams of white fire shot down from orbit, striking the Pacific and carving glowing scars across the ocean. Shock waves rolled through the water. The earth shook. Cities near the coast were hit by tremors. The world watched in horror. Ward gripped the edge of the console as the shockwave reached the base. The power flickered but held steady. He turned to his crew. "Activate the Valiant," he ordered. A loud mechanical roar filled the base. Huge metal walls split apart, and water rushed through as a massive warship began to rise from the hidden docks. The Valiant, black, angular, and armed with weapons no alien had ever seen. Deep within its hull, reactors hummed. Power lines glowed blue. The ship's name appeared across its armored side, shining through the ocean's darkness. "Captain, systems are ready," said the first officer. "Surface." The Valiant climbed upward, cutting through the Atlantic like a spear. When it broke the surface, waves exploded around it. The human warship rose into the storm, its engines burning bright. The world saw it live on every feed. Humanity's first Defiance. Above the planet, the Empire's fleet detected the launch. On their command ship, an alien admiral tilted his head in disbelief. "They are sending one ship?" His officers laughed, a sharp metallic sound. "Primitive Defiance," one of them said. "End it." But the admiral hesitated. Something in his sensors made him pause. The human ship's power levels were rising beyond expectation. Its readings made no sense. Down below, Captain Ward looked at his crew. "Weapons online?" "All charged, sir. Target their lead destroyer." A young officer swallowed hard. "Sir, their fleet outnumbers us by—" Ward interrupted gently. "They asked us to kneel. Let us show them how we rise." The first shot fired from Earth was silent in the vacuum of space, but its light spoke for humanity. A railgun slug tore through the atmosphere, glowing red from the heat. It hit the alien destroyer before its shields could activate. The ship erupted in blue fire. The explosion was visible from space stations, from the moon, from every continent below. Humanity had struck back. The Empire's fleet froze for a moment, stunned. Then they responded in full force. Dozens of warships turned their guns toward Earth. Energy weapons flared, tearing through the sky. The night became day again, this time burning red. Ward's crew fought to keep the Valiant stable. "Shields failing," someone shouted. "Hold the line," Ward ordered. "Fire everything we have." Missiles streaked upward. Plasma beams collided with alien armor. The air burned and thunder rolled across the ocean. In that chaos, one thing became clear to the universe. Humanity would not be conquered. Even as the Valiant took heavy hits, even as parts of its hull glowed with damage, it kept firing. Its railguns screamed. Its missiles flew. Its captain stood tall, unmoved. On every broadcast across the galaxy, those watching saw the impossible. A single human ship standing against an empire. The battle lasted hours. When the smoke cleared, several alien ships burned in the sky. The Valiant drifted through the wreckage, scarred but alive. In the control room, silence fell. Ward looked at the stars. His voice was calm, almost soft. "Send this to every colony, every outpost, every hidden station." He paused, then said, "They came to demand our knees, but we are humanity, and we do not kneel." The transmission echoed across space, reaching human outposts light years away. On distant mining colonies, workers looked up at the stars and smiled. Somewhere a child whispered, "We are not afraid." The first day of the war for humanity's freedom had begun. The morning after the first battle was quiet. Too quiet. Smoke drifted through the upper atmosphere, glowing orange against the rising sun. Pieces of metal, alien and human, fell like dying stars into the sea. For the first time in human history, the world looked up not in wonder but in defiance. Across every channel, people replayed the same moment. A single human ship destroying a massive alien war vessel. It was impossible. It was madness. It was hope. But Captain Elias Ward knew the fight was far from over. The Valiant hovered over the Atlantic, its engines humming like a beast waiting to strike again. Inside, the crew moved with silent focus. Every man and woman aboard knew what was coming. The Empire would not forgive them. Ward stood by the main viewport, watching the sunrise cut through the black smoke above the ocean. His reflection looked older than he remembered. War always made people age faster. "Damage report," he said. 2 railguns offline. Armor breached in 6 sectors. "Shield generator barely holding," the engineer replied. "And power levels?" "Stable for now," Ward nodded. "Then we are still alive. That's all that matters." Above them, the remnants of the Empire's first wave retreated toward orbit. But the admiral commanding the fleet was not retreating in fear. He was calling for reinforcements. Massive dreadnoughts began to warp in from hyperspace, each one larger than any Earthship ever built. Their engines shimmered like burning suns. The aliens believed humanity would break after seeing the true power of the Empire. They did not understand what humans became when pushed into a corner. At the Valiant's strategy table, Ward's officers gathered. A holographic projection of Earth spun before them, surrounded by red dots, enemy ships. Lieutenant Harper leaned forward. "Sir, there's no way we can fight them all. They're bringing planetary destroyers. One shot from those and we're finished." Ward turned to her, his voice calm. "Then we strike first." The room went silent. "Sir?" "We hit them before they form up," he said. "While they think we're licking our wounds. They believe Earth is defenseless, but they don't know about the network." He tapped a command. A new map appeared, hidden human installations across the planet. Old research bases, abandoned satellites. Black-budget projects that governments had denied for decades. These stations were part of the Guardian Protocol. Each one was built to act as a node for a planetary defense grid. They were never completed. Until now. Harper's eyes widened. "You mean the rail platforms?" Ward smiled faintly. "Exactly. If we sink the Valiant with them, we can turn the entire planet into a weapon." It took hours. Crews in hidden bunkers across the world came online. Engineers connected long-dead systems. Scientists activated deep space transmitters. The Valiant's main reactor linked with the global grid. And then, something incredible happened. The Earth began to hum. Invisible energy lines connected across continents. From space, it looked like veins of blue light wrapping around the planet. Ward watched the readings rise on his console. "Power stable," said the chief engineer, disbelief in his voice. "We're ready, Captain." Ward looked at the screen showing the alien fleet descending. "Then let's remind them what they woke." The Valiant shot upward through the clouds, breaking through the atmosphere. The sky behind it burned with blue plasma trails. The ship rose past the debris field, heading straight toward the Empire's reinforcements. From the bridge of the alien flagship, the Admiral watched the human ship approach. He spoke in a low, cold voice. "This species does not understand mercy. End them." Dozens of alien ships opened fire. Energy beams streaked across space like rivers of light. But the Valiant was faster now, powered by Earth itself. It weaved between the blasts, its railguns charging. "Targets locked," Harper said. "Fire." The ship's guns roared. 1, 2, 3 rounds fired in perfect rhythm. Each slug moved faster than sound could travel, punching through shields, armor, and hull. 3 alien cruisers shattered in an instant. The aliens panicked. They tried to surround the Valiant, but Ward had planned for that. "Engage Guardian Net." From Earth, massive beams of light erupted from hidden locations, mountains, deserts, and oceans. The orbital cannons activated, firing upward in synchronized bursts. The sky became a storm. The beams hit the enemy fleet with precision, cutting ships apart like paper. The Empire's command channels filled with chaos. For every blast they fired, 10 came back at them. Ward's crew watched in awe as explosions painted the darkness. "Sir, they're breaking formation," Harper shouted. "Then press them," Ward said. "Don't give them a chance to regroup." The Valiant dove through fire, its thrusters glowing bright blue. It fired rail slugs and missiles, each one finding a target. Every strike felt personal, like vengeance for every threat the Empire had made. The enemy flagship finally locked onto the Valiant and launched a massive plasma lance. The blast tore through space, lighting the human ship's hull. The impact threw everyone off their feet. Sparks flew from the ceiling. Smoke filled the bridge, shields collapsing, yelled the engineer. Ward grabbed the railing, his voice firm. "We're not done yet." He slammed his hand on the console. "Redirect auxiliary power to the forward cannons." "Sir, that will overload." "Do it!" The lights dimmed as power flooded into the weapons. The ship's railguns glowed white-hot. Ward raised his head, eyes locked on the alien flagship. "Fire!" The blast was brighter than the sun. It ripped through the alien flagship, splitting it in half. Shockwaves spread through the Empire's formation. The flagship's explosion triggered chain reactions among nearby vessels. When the fire faded, silence returned. The Empire's fleet was gone. The bridge was quiet except for the hum of the engines. The crew stared at the stars, stunned. Harper turned to Ward. "Captain?" "We did it," Ward nodded slowly. "No," he said softly. "We survived." "That's different." He looked out the viewport. "They will come again." "Stronger, angrier?" Harper asked. "Then what do we do?" Ward's voice was calm. "We make sure when they return, they find a planet ready to burn them out of the sky." The world cheered as the surviving alien ships fled. Across the galaxy, enslaved races heard the news. Humanity had stood against the Empire and won. On distant worlds, whispers began to spread. The humans have risen. And far beyond the known stars, the Empire's rulers watched in silence, realizing something they had never believed possible. The age of human fear was over. The stars no longer looked peaceful. They burned with the scars of war. What began above Earth had spread far beyond. Humanity was no longer hiding beneath the blue skies of home. The Valiant was not alone anymore. Across deep space, old human colonies, places forgotten for 100 years, answered the call. They lit their engines and returned to the fight. Some came with rusted ships. Others came with mining vessels turned into war machines. They painted the same words across their hulls: "We do not kneel." For the first time in galactic history, the Empire's territories began to fall silent. Outposts that had ruled over hundreds of species suddenly stopped transmitting. Convoys vanished. Patrol fleets found only wreckage where proud banners once flew. It was the humans, and they were everywhere now. Captain Elias Ward stood aboard the Valiant, watching the map of the galaxy on the holoscreen. Blue lights, human ships, spread through Empire space like fire crawling through dry grass. The red lights of the Empire blinked and disappeared one by one. Lieutenant Harper stepped beside him. "Sir, our attacks are spreading faster than they can respond." "They're losing entire sectors," Ward nodded. "They built their empire on fear. Once that fear breaks, their walls crumble. But they'll retaliate," Harper said. "They always do." Ward's voice was calm, almost cold. "Let them. We've already shown them what happens when they come for Earth. Now we'll show them what happens when humanity comes for them." Out in the void, human fleets jumped from system to system. They struck like ghosts. One moment the Empire controlled a world. The next, its sky was filled with flames. Mining ships dropped rail slugs the size of skyscrapers. Orbital cannons fired from the shadows of moons. In a single night, 6 planets declared independence under the Terran banner, and with every victory the legend of humanity grew. The enslaved races who had once bowed to the Empire began to whisper new names. They called humans the Starborn Rebels. Some called them the Fire People. But among the Empire's soldiers, one name spread with fear: the Terrans. On the Empire's capital world, the High Council gathered in panic. The throne chamber was filled with the echo of frightened voices. Their technology was primitive, one general said. They had no hyperlanes, no warp gates, no dreadnoughts. And yet, another whispered, they destroyed the entire Third Fleet. At the center of the room, the Emperor sat in silence. His pale eyes stared at the holographic image of the human fleet. They fight like they were born in war, he muttered. Find the one who leads them. This, Elias Ward. Extermination protocols? Asked the general. The Emperor's lips curved into a thin smile. No, I want him alive. I want to know how one human ship could shatter my Empire's fear. Far away on the edge of a dying star system, the Valiant led the next assault. The planet below had once been a shipyard for the Empire. Massive rings circled its orbit, filled with enemy cruisers and stations. Ward's fleet numbered just 12 ships. The enemy had over 100, sir, Harper said. We're outnumbered 10-1. Ward looked at her, steady as stone. Then we'll just have to be louder. He opened a channel to the entire fleet. This is Captain Ward. Today we burn their shipyards. Not because we want war, but because they left us no choice. They demanded our surrender. Instead, we give them fire. The fleet roared forward. Engines flared bright against the dark. The first volley struck hard. The Valiant's railguns fired in sequence, their slugs tearing through station armor like paper. Explosions flashed across the sky. Enemy destroyers turned and opened fire, filling the void with light. Human ships dodged through the chaos, smaller and faster. They used asteroid fields as cover, their engines weaving trails of blue plasma through the dust. Inside the Valiant, every console glowed red from heat. Harper called out, "Target locked, primary reactor." Ward clenched his fist. "Fire!" The blast ripped through the largest shipyard, splitting it in two. The explosion spread outward, igniting fuel cells, ripping through the ring like a chain of suns. One after another, enemy ships detonated. From space, the entire orbital ring looked like a burning halo. When it was over, nothing remained but drifting metal. The human fleet regrouped. The surviving crews cheered. Some cried. Ward said nothing. He only watched the debris drift past the viewport. Harper stepped beside him. "We did it again, sir." Ward shook his head. "No, we reminded them again." "Reminded them of what?" He looked at the flames beyond the glass. "That we are still here." News spread faster than light. Every enslaved world heard of the victory. Rebellions ignited like wildfire. The Empire sent army after army, but they faced something they could not crush: hope. In the slums of alien worlds, children drew pictures of human ships. In mining colonies, workers carved the word Terran into stone walls. Humanity had become a symbol, proof that the Empire could bleed. But deep inside the Valiant, Ward knew something darker. He watched the reports coming in, dozens of battles, thousands of casualties. For every enemy ship destroyed, humans lost lives, and they were running out of time. The Empire still had entire fleets hidden in the core worlds. "They'll strike back," Harper said quietly. "They have to," Ward replied. "Because if they don't, their empire dies." He looked out at the stars, his reflection lit by the distant fires of war. And if they do, humanity lives. Far away in the Empire's capital, the Emperor stood before his generals once again. His face was pale, his voice trembling with fury. "Begin Operation Silence," he commanded. "If they want to play with fire, we will drown their worlds in ash." The generals bowed, terrified. Across the galaxy, hundreds of Empire dreadnoughts began to awaken, massive war machines built to destroy planets. As they powered up, one phrase echoed through the command networks: "The humans will burn." But in the dark between stars, Captain Ward's fleet was already moving, preparing to strike again, not with fear, but with fire. Because now the war was not just for survival. It was for freedom. The Empire's stars were dying one by one. What once shone with power now glowed red with the light of burning worlds. Human fleets forged from the fires of Earth's defiance had reached the Empire's heart. Every outpost, every stronghold, every planet that once commanded others now trembled at the sound of Terran engines. The Valiant led them all. Its black hull carried the scars of 100 battles, yet its engines burned brighter than ever. On its bridge stood Captain Elias Ward, silent, steady, and unshaken. He had seen humanity rise from fear to fury. Now he would see it free. "Admiral reports ready, sir," said Lieutenant Harper. Her voice carried pride and exhaustion. Ward nodded. "Transmit my message to every ship." The comms officer opened the line. Across thousands of human vessels, frigates, carriers, fighters, and repurposed mining ships, his voice filled the speakers. "Brothers and sisters of Earth, they called us fragile. They thought they could make us kneel. But look around you. We are the fire they feared. We are humanity, and this is the day the Empire falls." The fleet erupted in cheers. Engines roared to life. The stars themselves seemed to tremble. The final target was ahead, the capital world, Elandor Prime, a planet of silver cities and golden towers, floating under the watch of the Emperor's fortress station. It was said that no army could reach its surface. No weapon could pierce its shield until now. From orbit, Elandor Prime looked peaceful. Beneath its beauty hid the cruelty that had ruled the galaxy for centuries. Slave camps, execution halls, the screams of millions of conquered species. Every soldier aboard the Valiant knew what they were fighting for. Ward stood at the viewport, his reflection framed by stars. "Prepare all railguns. Focus fire on their orbital station. Captain, that's the Citadel of Dawn. It's the size of a moon," Harper said, disbelief in her voice. "Then we'll make it our sunrise," Ward replied. The Empire's fleet waited above the capital, thousands of ships forming a wall of light. The Emperor's flagship sat at the center, surrounded by shimmering shields. On its bridge, the Emperor watched the approaching Terran armada. His generals stood in silence, too afraid to speak. "So," he murmured. The beast learned how to bite. He turned to his weapons officer. "Fire everything. Let the stars burn with them." A storm began. Beams of white plasma and arcs of lightning filled the void. Human ships exploded, but more came forward, refusing to fall back. The Valiant charged through the chaos, its railguns thundering. Each shot left trails of light across the dark. Each explosion another wound in the Empire's wall. "Shield integrity at 40%, shouted Harper. "Keep firing," Ward ordered. "We break through or we die trying." The Valiant fired again and again. One rail slug after another slammed into the Citadel's shields. Cracks formed across its golden barrier. Then with one final roar, the shield shattered. The human fleet poured through the gap like a tidal wave. Fighters streaked past the Valiant, weaving between burning wrecks. Planetary cannons fired upward, but the Terrans were too fast, too angry, too determined. In the heart of the Valiant, the main reactor glowed white-hot. The engineer shouted warnings. "We can't keep this up, Captain. She's going to blow." Ward looked at the hologram of Elandor Prime. "Then she'll blow with glory." He opened a channel directly to the Emperor's flagship. The image of the alien ruler appeared. Tall, pale, eyes cold like glass. "You have fought well, human," the Emperor said softly. "But this is the end. You cannot destroy an empire." Ward's reply was quiet but sharp. "Empires fall. Humanity endures." He cut the channel. "Target the Citadel's core," Ward said. "All batteries." The Valiant's cannons turned toward the fortress. Every railgun, every missile tube, every plasma array locked on. Fire. The blast was like the voice of creation itself. Rail slugs ripped through the Citadel's spine. The station imploded, then erupted outward in a storm of gold and white flame. Fragments of the Empire's might rained down upon its own world. The Emperor's ship tried to flee, but Ward's fleet encircled it. Dozens of Terran vessels opened fire. The flagship broke apart piece by piece until nothing remained but silence. For a long moment there was no sound. No orders, no shouts, only the hum of cooling metal. Then, from every human ship a signal was sent, a single phrase, repeated again and again across the stars. "We do not kneel." Down on Elandor Prime, slaves watched the sky burn. One young alien girl pointed at the fire and whispered, "They did it. The humans did it." Across the galaxy, word spread faster than light. The Empire was dead. The humans had won. Worlds that had been silent for centuries began to cheer. The songs of freedom filled the void. Inside the Valiant, the bridge was quiet. Smoke drifted through the air. Screens flickered with victory reports. Harper turned to Ward. "It's over," she said. Ward looked out at the dying citadel. "No," he replied softly. "It's beginning," she frowned. "Beginning?" He nodded. "Every empire falls. But now the galaxy must learn how to live without chains. That will take time." He walked to the viewport. The stars ahead were endless, unclaimed. "We will not rule them," Ward said. "We'll remind them that freedom is worth fighting for." Harper smiled faintly. "And if they forget?" Ward's eyes stayed on the stars. "Then humanity will remind them again. With fire." The Valiant turned away from the burning capital, engines bright as dawn. Behind it, the last lights of the Empire faded into history. Across the galaxy, free worlds sent a message of their own. "Thank you, Terrans." Humanity had started as the hunted. Now they were the symbol of resistance, not gods, not rulers, but survivors who refused to kneel. And as the ship vanished into the endless dark, one final line appeared on the screen for all who watched the story of Earth's rise. "In fire, we found our freedom. In unity, we became unbreakable."